Hi, in tonight's omarvision tutorial, I am in Blender and I'm going to make a road or a racetrack for a car to drive around in Blender. There's different ways to do it, but tonight I'm going to do it by just using the extrude method on a cube. I'm just going to do it over and over again. So let me just get the cube itself here. This was a file new project and I have a cube and I'll just rename this road. Okay, road. And then I'll start to stretch out this cube to be a road. So let me take the scale and flatten it a little bit and make it a little wider as a road here. And then just kind of make this segment here is going to be a straight segment. Now I'm going to go to edit mode and I'm going to select faces and extrude faces. So this is the width of the road. This is the x-axis. Now on the y-axis I'm going to select the face and I'm just going to extrude. And when I extrude, I have the face still selected. I'm going to curve. Okay, and I could position. Just make sure I keep the road flat. I'm just going to use that. And this could be like a corner. So I press the mouse wheel in to turn my view around. And I could hold down the shift button and press the mouse wheel to pan. I just want to see this part here. And I'm going to extrude again. Okay, and I pull out. When I extrude, I press the E key. And then I press the R key to rotate, but see what happens if I rotate like this by just pressing R, it may bend my road. So I'm going to press this icon here and rotate with this to keep everything flat. And I'm just going to do this. I'm going to try to make a little bit of a road. So here we're turning a corner. The segment can be as long as I want. And extrude again. And rotate it. And position it. Pick the blue and drag and drop it. So you can see here there's a curve. It's coming around a curve. And extrude. And rotate. Uh-oh, that's the wrong axis. Make sure I got the blue, okay? And I guess what I'm kind of doing is making a circle for a track. Just going to kind of go around in a circle here. But maybe I'll make a turn, because this is turning one way, and I'll make a turn go the other way. So I press E again, pull out a road segment, and I will make a turn this way too. So the blue, and E, and rotate. Uh-oh. Make sure I rotate on blue. Extrude, rotate. Now there's going to be, I think I turned the wrong thing, blue. There's going to be a part where the road's going to have to connect. So let me try to get to there. So whatever road I'm making, there's going to be a part where the road has to connect. So maybe extrude again and pick the blue and move down. Let's start trying to get these roads to come together here. Okay, let's turn that. And then extrude again with an E. And then rotate again. All right, so maybe here now these two pieces, they could connect to each other. So let me hold down shift and pan. All right, so for sure, when these two road pieces connect, this face will not be necessary any longer. So let me just right click and delete that face. Okay, so you see I could see in there, right? Because when they connect, you don't need this face. And delete this face. So now you see the insides. So now we just have to get these faces to connect with each other. So let's go to edge mode. We'll select two edges, one edge from here and one edge from here. And I'll right click and I want to bring them together. So is that fill? No, it's not. Control Z. What is that? Right click and new face from edges. F, face. Oops, and I think it put it there. Oh, undo. Select this edge, select this edge. Make sure I have those two edges selected. And then do new face from edges. F. And there we go. We have a new face there. And let's do all around. Shift pan. Click and shift click to select both edges. And then right click, new face from edges. Or it's the F key. Got that side. And Let's get the underside here, this, and new face from edges, F. Okay, let's seal it up on the bottom too. And I could just press F. All right, so now I have like a path. Now I could do something else, like I want walls on the sides of the path so that, you know, they could kind of be like the walls of the track. So what will I do for that? I wonder if I could use loop cut and just drag it to inside there for one wall there, and then loop cut again and hold the mouse and drag it for another wall here. And now I have like some edges that I could raise up to be a wall. So I think I have that edge loop selected. Can I also select another edge loop? Let's see, shift. If this track was big and I had to do this method, it would really be too much. Maybe I could do an edge loop, select edge loop, or ring. Nope, that didn't do it. Oh well, but basically what I want to do is I want to select all these faces here around the track now that I made. And I'm holding the shift key so that I don't lose any of the previous selection. So just going around the track, selecting the wall is going to be like the barrier for the wall to keep the car on the track. Don't let go of the shift key. Every time you click, make sure you have the shift key selected. Now let's move up here, zoom in a little, and select these last two. 1, 2. All right, so I have these edges selected, these faces selected. Now I just want to raise them up. So I'll just use E for extrude. I press E, and I just extrude up a wall. Okay, so it's going to kind of be a track, and the wall, that would keep the car on the track. Now, can I make this smoother somehow? I'm not sure yet. Let me just view, frame selected. Oops, I gotta select it. Control A. View, frame selected, and zoom in. I wonder if there's some modifiers I could use that could make the road a little bit smoother. I don't know. Let me check some in the modifiers, and if I did a subdivide, what happens? Okay, that's a little bit smoother of a road, but also the road in the middle is also kind of bending. It's not going to be perfectly flat anymore. I guess I could put more, and there's a curve to it. And so I could do that to try to make the road a little smoother. All right, if it's simple, let's just see the mesh. Let me view the wireframe. So you see how it's making the track and how it curves around a little bit at the edges. All right, let's say I wanted to do that. So I'm going to apply that. Oops, I have to go to object mode to apply. Apply that. And now I have this track. All right. Okay, so I kind of have a smooth track I made for my racing game in Blender. Now I'm just going to export this. Export as an FBX. And I want the mesh. And I'm going to go into Unity, so I'm going to use the experimental transform. And now let's see, where is my project folder? C, Omar, where did I put my Unity project? Here's Unity ML Agent Drive 2, and in assets, here I'm just going to have a track. Okay, and I'll just say export. So now I'll bring that down and I'll open up Unity, and let's see what the track looks like. So here I was trying to do a track with Pro Builder. You could do that too. Let me delete that one. And now I'm going to bring in the track right here that I just did in, you know, Blender instead. It's a pretty good size. Let's see. Let's make this, oops, I just moved the track by accident. Let's put the track at 0, 0, 0, reset position. And then let's take the car. And we'll try to put the car on the track facing forward that way. All right, so that's what we got. We got a car on this white track with banked edges that we made in Blender. And now the car, you know, let's just make it move on the track. And let's use physics. Well, this track that we bought in the Blender, we better put a mesh collider on it so that the car doesn't fall through it. So I'm going to add a mesh collider. Okay. And now I'll go back to the car. And the car has a rigid body and a drive script. Let's see what the drive script says. Open it in Visual Studio. All right, so the Drive script opens in Visual Studio, and all it's going to enable me to do is control the car using physics to accelerate to go forward or backward using the vertical axis, and to turn, it's going to add torque, which is like a twisting force, to turn left and right. So hopefully these values are good, so that I could have good control of the car, but they're public, so I could change them in the inspector. Then I have the rigid body, so I could actually apply physics to the game object. Since I have a rigid body here, the class drive, it's going to require that there's a rigid body component. So this line here makes sure that in Unity, if there was no rigid body component, that when I drag the script on, that boop, it'll put a rigid body component. All right, let me press play, see if I could actually move this car on this track, or if there's any funny business. Oh, first things first, I got to position the camera, maybe to this view, so let me pick the camera and press Control-Shift-F. There, you see how the view of the camera is that now. Now when I press play, when it goes from scene view to game view, that should be what I see. So I press play, and the car drops to the track. Now can I turn it? I'm pressing the left and right, I can't turn. Can I go forward? Yes. Can I go backward? Yes. So there's a little bit, the turning pressure is not high enough, so let me pick the AI car. And here it says turn speed is like 0.85. Let's increase that to 2 and see if that helps to make that I could turn. All right, I could turn better now. So maybe now I could drive and turn. But the turning's a little bit too much, too powerful, or it kind of picks up and then spins me out too much. So maybe when I'm turning, I don't want it to turn too fast. Oh, now what did I put it to 2? Let's try 1.5. Let's see if it's that. There's angular drag to stop me from spinning. I could play with that too. So let's get these settings right, that I could like finger drive this car. So there you go. And if I turn, oh, it's still kind of hard to do the turning. Oh, it doesn't care if I'm on the road or not. So let me play around with these settings here. And I'm going to want to drive all the way around the track. So on the car, let's see, we have the car, and then here's the mesh model, the mesh. On the car, let me add another child object. It'll just be an empty object, and I'll call it the cam follow. Okay, the cam follow. Now this is an empty game object. It doesn't really have a visual in the game, so let me use one of these icons here on the game object to be a purple dot. Select the purple dot. Okay, select the red dot. And you can see there's a red dot to represent the position of the cam follow. So let's just say the camera that's going to follow the car, it's going to kind of be where this purple dot is, so when we're driving around. And if we want the camera to go higher or lower, we could do this, or further back, we could do this here in design mode. So let's say that that's going to be the target for the camera for now. So file save. Now the camera is going to need a script to follow that dot. So let me add a new script, create C# script, cam follow script. And this script is going to go on the camera. Hello, camera. There you go. It's camera. There we go. The script cam follow. Let's open up the script and let's type it up. So here's the cam follow script. First, let me get this stuff out. And first things that the camera follow script is going to need to know are public game object look target, like where the camera's going to look. Okay, and the next thing it's going to need to know is public game object move target, like the target for the camera to move to goes null. All right, so let me save that and then let me tell it in the inspector what those are. So here's the cam follow script, and there you go. The look target is going to be the car, and the move target is going to be cam follow. So the camera is going to try to move into the position of this red dot. It's going to try to stay in that position of the red dot. And the camera is always going to be looking at the car. So those are those two values. Now let's go into the script and let's type what we need to type. So what I'm going to do is I went to the omarvision website, and some of the most commonly used pieces of code, I kind of put them here in the code section. And right here I have the camera follow 3D. I'm going to kind of use this as an example of what to follow. So let's see here. We're also going to have two more variables. So the camera is going to move to the cam follow position, but we're going to give it a move speed, so it's not like locked on. And let's have it equal 1.8. Okay, and then we're going to also give it, this is a float. Then we're also going to give it a public float turn speed, I guess. This is how fast it turns to look at the car from wherever it's currently. And I don't know, just try 45. These are public, so we could change them in the inspector. All right. Now the thing here, we want to do the update for the camera after everything else has happened and update it in the scene, you know, like after all the physics and everything. So we're going to use the late update function, private void late update, okay? And late update is a method of model behavior. That's how come it turned color on me here, and you can see it in the description pop up. First thing we need to know is the quaternion. We're going to need the rotation target of where we have to turn. Quaternion rot for rotation rot target equals quaternion dot look rotation look at dot position minus this dot trans, oops, not potion. It's not look target dot position. Okay, look target dot transform dot position. Thank you. We gotta spell things. And minus, that's where it has to look, minus where it currently is, which is this dot transform dot position. Okay, now we're gonna slowly turn it there. So this dot transform dot rotation equals quaternion dot rotate towards this dot. So we're going to take what it currently is at, transform that rotation to the rot target, and we'll do it how much the speed is, turn speed times time delta time. Okay, so that takes care of where the camera is looking. We also need to take care of where the camera is, period. So that would be the position of the camera. So this dot transform dot position equals vector 3 dot lerp. Lerp is a way to slowly move from one position to another. From this dot transform dot position, from wherever the camera currently is, to the move target position, and how fast we want it to do that, move speed times time delta time. Okay, there we go. All right, so this will be our camera movement script that we put on the camera. All right, so the camera movement script is there. We got some values. The car is there. We got some values. Let's see if we could drive this car around the track a little bit. See the camera moved into position. And now when I'm driving, it looks like the turning is really, it's too difficult here to turn. What could I do? Let's turn the drag. Let's try to play around with these things. The drag was 1, and the angular drag is a little bit higher, 0.5. And let's see how that works. Play, and here I am, I'm driving, and it's like when I turn, it just takes a while to start turning. So what I made here is a physics material where there's the static friction is the amount of friction it takes it to start moving. So I'm going to put that to 0. I'm going to put that on the car's rigid body. See here? Is it the rigid body or is it the collider? Okay, in the car's collider, so I'm going to go to the car model. And here we got a physics material. I'm going to tell it to use the tires physics material that I just made. And say file, save project. Let's see if that helps me with the turning. All right, so now it's not, I'm moving and I'm trying to turn. The turning is like really, really hard. Oh God, the camera takes a long time to get in position. So I have to adjust the settings. All right, with a couple of edits, I found out some settings that work out well. I did make a material for the road there, purple, just to see it better. Now for the car, this is what I did. I have the move speed and turn speed, and now, as you can see, I had the turn speed up to a high number like, 75, kind of like the way the move speed is. And then I have a max angular velocity to control like turning too quickly. So if I look at the script here, this is how I use these new values. So let's just have this default be like a 60 in here instead. And by default, let's have this be a 2, in case like, you pop this in to your script. All right, so here in the start, I get the rigid body. And then the rigid body has a value called max angular velocity. That's as fast as it could spin around in a second. It's in radians per second. So that's where I use this. Then in the fixed update, I have the speed and the turn. And what am I doing here? Well, I guess I didn't need those. Take those away. Then in the fixed update, I get the controls, the input controls from the vertical and horizontal axis. This means I could use the joystick, or I could use the keyboard arrow keys or the keyboard WASD keys for controlling the car. Now I add a relative force. This is a forward force times the vert. These values here, they can go from a -1 to a 0 to a 1. Okay, so this could make me go backwards too. Times the move speed, and I apply an acceleration force. So the longer I hold the key down, the more the car will accelerate. And now for the turning, I add a relative torque. Torque is like a turning force, like a twisty force. So the axis I turn on is the up axis. That means the car will turn left and right. And again, how much depends on the axis value for horizontal times the speed that they specify for turning, and the force mode's acceleration. So this is a really simple script, as well as the camera script to follow the car. Really simple, not that much code. And then inside of Unity, if I press play, then the car, I could control it driving around the track, okay, with the keyboard, kind of. Now sometimes you see it kind of hits a snag, and that's kind of because, here, if you look at the material, if I make the material more shiny, you see how there's these little edges here that are going along the axis this way. So I think the track is not totally perfectly smooth because of that. So sometimes these detectable lines here could be something the car bumps into, seeing that it acts like it hit something on the road. But this is like the second step. I made the track, and now I have a car that I could control moving around the track. So the next step, in the next video, I'm going to try to make an AI agent using the ML agents to control the car to drive around this track. And that's all for this video. Thank you. You made it to the end of the video. I'm so proud of you. This is my website. The main thing I want to show you is that for any of these videos that you've seen on YouTube, I have the tutorial section, which has the blue links for the projects, and the orange links are the files. Also, you could go over here and play some of the games we made in the game camp.